It's Jennifer David with Disability Indiana. Thanks for joining us today. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Actually, I've had a good morning.
What's that?
I've had a good morning.
Good, good. I am in the process of potty training the puppy,
Mm.
and it is completely throwing off my schedule.
Well, I went back and watched the video, the first one that we made, and I saw your dog, which looks an awful lot like the one I got. So,
He's adorable, but boy, it's a lot of work.
so what are you doing? Because like we're potty training, and so she'll go out there a lot, but we have two other dogs, and she'll follow them. But then then she's peasing. Are you doing some kind of schedule thing, or what are you doing?
We're trying. We made the mistake of using puppy pads. That's a mistake because
Really?
yeah, they start like, "Oh, okay, I go in the house. This is great." But when we first brought her home, she had a couple medical issues and she was so small and so young. So it was like, I don't know, it was during a time when it was like 20 degrees outside and even lower at night. So we were struggling to do it outside. So we just continued what the rescue group had done. And that's just not a good idea because once they've kind of got it in their mind that like, well, I go in the house because it's warm and it's comfortable, it's really hard to transition. So like we are working on it and it's probably not going to be quick. I think if you just quickly get them, just get them out.
Our dog, she had been taken to the pound, so she was about 4 months old. She had been in the back of this animal shelter, was actually one of the nicest animal shelters I've ever seen. She was like down this hill that we had to walk down this huge steep hill, and she was with a litter of eight. And they've been there for 2 months. They keep them until they've had a series of like three shots and they've been fixed. So this is an area where the people only go to like really feed them and take care of them versus the other dogs who get a lot of like the humans are there doing their jobs, moving around. So
Right.
I think that made a huge difference in her because she at first really didn't want anything to do with us, like with people. She wasn't really motivated by human contact because she hadn't had a lot. And she's afraid to eat out of a bowl.
She eats dirt. She eats
Our
dirt.
dog's been eating
Anything.
everything she can get a hold. I just think they don't know what anything is. And kids eat dirt. So
Yeah.
I ate dirt when I
I
was a
let
kid.
her
I
do
probably
it.
still do.
She did it today. So like it was kind of funny because usually we'll interrupt her and today she did it this morning. And I'm like, "You know what? I'm gonna let her eat some dirt." And so she was eating dirt and all of a sudden she's like making this face like this tastes terrible. And I'm like, "Oh, maybe that's a good natural consequence. You eat the dirt,
Exactly.
it tastes bad. We don't do it anymore." That's my hope.
And eventually, like she'll learn like there's other better stuff. It's so funny this conversation because even though I'm a behavior consultant, you're a behavior consultant, you would think as behavior consultants that we would know exactly what to do. We would have a plan, with training the dog. And it's just not like that. Because first of all, life is exhausting,
Hmm.
right? Like you've had to stop twice. I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying, like, I
Hmm.
think of the parents and the families that we work with, and when we put these plans together, where we do try to keep the reality of life in mind of the how much it really takes to do something. Even when you know what to do you necessarily have the time and the energy? Like I said, you have to make sure you walk behind the dog to reinforce or offer something else and changing the environment and
I was talking with a family that I work with, and we were talking exactly about, me training this puppy. And I had made the comment where I'm like, there are times where it's not good for me to give her, I don't know, like a food treat. Like we get those rubber Kongs and we put peanut butter in it. And I'm like, you know what? She's already had her food for the day. I shouldn't be giving her this. But I just do because it keeps her quiet and I can work for a little bit.
like the
And
iPad.
my client's mom was like, "So you're giving her something just so you can have a little bit of peace." She's like, "Now you understand." Like when I've struggled at home, like sometimes you just do something like, "Fine, do it. I just need a few minutes of peace and quiet."
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, there's some of those things. And of course, like I'm always trying to look at like with the puppy, like, okay, what function is this serving for her that she keeps doing this, and how can I change that this is not as much fun as what I might have for her over here?
Right.
So it is kind of interesting.
Well, the food thing. So even though I'm a behavior analyst, I was looking up stuff about training dogs, and I found some videos with a female dog trainer. And one of the things she did talk about was not using food.
Hmm.
And I thought about that, and I didn't. Mainly, I probably would have, but the dog wasn't really motivated by me at first, and I wanted the dog to, because I bought this dog. I want her to be a service dog. Like, I have PTSD just having her around and stuff. Plus she's nice and silky, and I can pet her. That will just help calm me. So, but yeah,
Yes.
I've definitely noticed her. Like, now it is reinforcing because she's learning what a human, can give her: food, shelter, comfort, and stuff like that. So I'm
Yes.
excited to see her grow, but I am not always the most patient person. So I'm glad I have my husband around, because, I'm get a little frustrated. I'm like, why is she doing this? And he's like, she's scared. And,
We tag team because because I am the one that's doing the primary care. Like when he gets home from work at night, I'm like, your turn. I'm going to be on the other side of the house for a couple of hours reading a book or something. Like I just like take a break because you need to. You
Mhm.
have been doing it all day long, and it's like this constant barrage of like, no, stop, leave it, drop it, sit, lay down, quit.
That reminds me, I don't think it's kind of probably the same, obviously, with dogs as it is with humans, but that's one of the things I always train about and talk to people about, is you can't just be the no, stop, blah, 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 especially with folks that need our support, because they may not have that repertoire of what to do. And I find that to be one of the biggest things that people don't necessarily address, is like what to do. Now, if that was a kid, you could say redirect them. It's not as easy with the dog, like, verbally. But I guess you did bring that up earlier. You have to have something else, for them. But
Well, no, like if we're talking about one of the some of the things I'm dealing with now, whereas when I work with people who don't have enough going on in their schedule. And so there's more issues happening. And so
that's
I'm like,
great.
well, what can we do? Can we work? Can we get rec therapy? Can we volunteer? What can we do to create more fulfillment for things to do that then inevitably do potentially decrease behaviors? I mean, you might have higher anxiety over some things, right? But you kind of deal with that as it comes. But like that fulfillment of I have a meaningful schedule
Yeah.
in my life, I think does a lot. And that's kind of what I'm in the middle of right now with people that I work with, is trying to make sure they maintain a meaningful schedule.
Well, that is what it is for me. And I always kind of wondered why, like, I always have to have something. And at times in my life, I felt bad. Like, I'm like, oh, I can't relax. That's not, now that I know that I'm autistic, that's not what it is. I need stimulation, because no matter what, my brain does not stop. And so it is very frustrating. And my husband and I, like, we talk a lot about making sure that we have a schedule.
Well, and I think that all kind of
True.
ties into like how important structure is, right? How
Oh
important it
yeah,
is
having
to
something, not
have
being bored. Yeah.
that, like you're pre-planning, you're no matter what it may be, like if that's kind of meaningful to you and that lowers your anxiety, then it's good for you to do that. So you've got your day planned out, but that is part of that, of like I'm building structure for myself, or I have someone else coming in and helping me build structure so that every day has something meaningful happening, where I'm not just maybe sitting on the couch watching TV and then I don't feel good about myself. I don't
Yeah.
feel good
Yeah.
about I'm lonely, or whatever. I'm not having any fun. This is boring, those kinds of things.
I have to go back to something that I thought of when, just in our conversation about the dogs. And I think, like, you were talking about, like, taking a break here and there. Something I have never built into behavior plans for parents. Oh, and this came from the conversation you're telling about with the parent, is like a list of things for them to get a break. Like, we do breaks for, like, kids, or suggestions like that, but I don't think I've ever done something where I'm like, maybe, talked with the parent about things that they've done in the past that has helped them, like if they do need a break, because every parent needs a break, even the staff, but like helping them come up with a list of things that worked, maybe some other suggestions, so they have something to go to help them in the moment, which is certainly going to help them in responding to whatever situation. Have you done
Well,
anything like that?
yeah, well, yeah. I used to work with the A&D waiver for years before I started working with what was the DD waiver at the time. And one of the programs that was a really big program, and I don't know if it still is now, it was the caregiver program. Because I remember doing assessments with families and having caregivers sit in front of me who could be a son or a daughter or a mom or a dad or a
I remember
grandparent.
the term, but I don't remember the program.
Yeah, the program was just a way to provide relief to the caregiver. So it might be like a staff is coming in to help out so that they can literally take a break. And like it couldn't be used. I'm having to go by memory here. It was a long time ago. They couldn't use it for like work. They couldn't use it
Oh yeah.
for those like they it had to be I'm an overwhelmed caregiver. I need someone to come in and help. And then they go out and go to the movies or they go have
Right.
dinner. Or they just literally maybe go sit in the park for a couple hours
Yeah.
to decompress. And it was that purpose was, because I used to sit down with those people and I had the one I remember the most was a son who was taking care of his father who had like increasing dementia in the home. And this huge man just broke down into tears because he was like, this is, I work. And he's like, I don't know what else to do. I do this nonstop. I worry about him nonstop. And then they stop caring about themselves because they put 100% into someone else. And then they have nothing left. And so it was a fantastic program that, was really helpful to people. And I kind of felt like that program, much like some other programs, got harder and harder to give out because you couldn't find the staff to come in and
But
do the
yeah, yeah.
work. So,
I think as I think about that, I think about all the stuff we do for our clients and even all the stuff that's out there and we try to do for direct care professionals, people in the field. But I think we do not think about the parents sometimes as much and the family members, they're just like collateral damage in how challenging it is to take care of a family let alone a family where you have, somebody with a disability or you have multiple children with a disability or the parent themselves might have one.
I do feel like that's another aspect of something we do. So even though we do come in and we provide that behavior plan and we're focused on, okay, what's this target behavior? What are our strategies to decrease that behavior? As behavior consultants, I feel like we're also a really great support to the parents. And so I usually do end up having a pretty strong relationship with the parents. And sometimes they're really big on giving me calls throughout the week, even if it just ends up being I just needed to get that out or, something like that. But I think that the work that we do, even if it's not directly for them, we do come in and provide some support
Yeah.
to help them out. Even if it is like we are taking so and so out into the community for a couple of hours. Um, Parents are getting that little bit of respite that afternoon for
Yeah.
that.
We do actually become very much that support for
Mhm.
them. Yeah, I mean, and also even if you have family members and friends, it is really hard to have to talk about some of those things. I do have to take my words back because Kayla, who was our guest last time, did talk about a couple of things that some of the groups that she knew did. The Lucky Mama Project. I think she
Yeah.
said there was some kind of conference or something that maybe is in the fall. And then I think probably here shortly, I want to say it's in April, maybe Special Needs Living Magazine is doing they do a little retreat. I think it might be just as an overnight thing. I remember donating to them either last year or the year before. Uh, so that's yeah, that is. But I mean, when I see like things advertised or like in news feeds and uh, stuff out there, I feel like there could be more for families and parents. Like we've done a support group in Charlestown for several years. It's kind of fizzled out, especially during the summer. So I'm gonna actually kind of try to redirect people maybe more to like the podcast.
Mhm.
Um, I've seen several other groups fizzle out, and I think a lot of times they fizzle out because they are face to face, which is great because a lot of people need that contact. But then life gets busy, schedules change, therapies and all of that stuff, and it can be, really challenging. Do you know of any good support groups, parental wise?
Well, I was actually, as you were talking, and I know we've talked about this before, but like bringing on Abby and Hannah from AKC Therapies because they're working on that project, which was the
Training.
caregiver parent training that they're doing. Efficient. I mean, there's so many efficient things I'm hearing from these young behavior consultants that are like, "Oh, I use such and such an
Are they
app,"
doing
and
AI?
I'm
Well,
like,
so are they doing like, has anybody been talking about AI? Because that's something that is, I will tell
like
you,
Chat GPT.
yeah. So I'm doing I wait till like the last 6 months. I have 2 years to do 32 CEUs. And of course, I'm waiting for the last 6 months to renew actually, I have 5 months to renew my BCBA. And so I also like to look for the free CEUs. So there is like a whole conference on AI and BCBAs and just all that stuff. And it's stuff that can be used for behavior consulting. And that just makes me think, I mean, I don't know how, I've never heard anybody in our field in Indiana ever talking about technology, really. I mean, for our clients, yes, but like what we do or what we use. I mean, I think some parents use some apps and stuff like that, but like our jobs, do you know any apps that your consultants use or that you've used, like for tracking behavior, communicating with parents and stuff?
They have, so I would say that they have shared those things with me, but I have not taken notes on that because like I am a little
Sure.
apprehensive personally using apps. Like I just feel like I have a little system that works for me. However, what I'm hearing is, I mean, these young, especially Google Docs, right? Google Docs.
Yes, that was hard for me, but it's the easiest thing. For like
It is.
years, I was like, no, would refuse. I'd be like, no, send me the file. Send me
Yeah.
the actual file. That,
I learned how on my own how to use Google Docs, and I actually started doing my annual surveys through Google Docs because you could just email it and they could fill it out and it
yeah,
would just,
yeah.
so like I have practice with those things and I've found those to be great, right? So like I've also seen behavior consultants use the Google Docs for behavior tracking so that people can actually just do that in the Google Doc from
They
their
have it.
phone,
Yeah.
right? It's like how hard is it for behavior consultants to get the data, right? Because these poor parents are swamped. They work two jobs and they're not filling out our little forms for us. However, and if you're someone on your phone a lot or on your computer a lot and you can pull up that Google Doc, you might be able to go, she had a tantrum today, da, 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 da,
Yeah.
send.
So in one of these CEUs I took, they were talking about AI and tracking like ABC data,
Mhm.
behavior data, and they were talking about how it can be programmed to kind of um, remind parents to document. So it could be looking at, we know on average, this child is going to have this behavior every 3 hours, because they can, whatever system it is, I don't know all that, can look at that and kind of see. So if that time has gone by or a certain amount of time, it could prompt the parents, and maybe remind them like, hey, maybe was there an incident and stuff like that. So I just thought that was great. I mean, so that's even above and beyond just documenting. I think there's a lot just with basic documentation, just basic things to use, tools to use, and apps that aren't even AI, let alone, I'm sure, companies that do ABA, they're using stuff and or at least talking about it. But yeah, it would be interesting to see how that could help our jobs.
Yeah, I think I know I still work with a lot of families that are not interested in doing anything on the computer and they are still paper pencil kind of people. And so we do things that way. So I feel like we kind of have to jump in and out of both worlds sometimes.
True.
But, if you're working with, younger people and they're like, oh, can you just, text me such and such? And so like I try to do the best I can to meet them where they are, or I try to do the best I can to provide them whatever method is going to make documenting easier for
Yes.
them.
Oh,
I
absolutely. We
can
have
get
to,
it.
yeah, we have to bend over backwards for that. I mean, well, and that's kind of, we've already talked about that, how challenging it is just to even have enough energy out of, in the day. Um, and even parents, because, like with autism, okay, it is hereditary. So there probably is a lot of parents that are on the spectrum themselves, or, maybe they don't know it. And I just know for myself, no matter what I want to do, you only have so much energy. I mean, I guess that's true probably for anybody.
Right.
But
Right.
like caffeine doesn't affect me the same way. So I can't just, have a big cup of coffee at like 6 and say that's going to pull me through till 10 and I can still, function or whatever. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
parents, but it's necessary. I mean, that is the thing though. We can't do our jobs without it. There's no way that you can show that there's been any gains or anything without data.
Right.
And I would not be surprised because Indiana's gone back and forth between what they want, right? We need hard, fast data. Then no, we don't. Yes, we do. And I mean, I've not heard any talk, but things always swing one way and then they swing back the other. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen anything like that in terms of any real, we're going to audit you and we need to see that data, because I do think there's an understanding that there are families that have literally outright said, look, I can't pull this book out every time there's a behavior to sit down and write because I'm in the midst of the behavior and I've got three other kids that need me and my job, so like I think there's a realization that like we have to kind of be flexible in that. And for those situations, honestly, in my conversations weekly, I just try to gather what I can in my notes and I'll just say, how many tantrums did we have last week?
I did a lot of that anecdotal evidence or whatever.
I love to hear the ideas. Like we have that sometimes in some of our IBA meetings where BCs will just kind of share, well, this is how I do it, and this
Yeah.
is how I do it. And you get these new ideas that you may think maybe that would make what I do every day more efficient
Yeah.
or
Oh,
better.
definitely. Because that's helpful for parents too. Because maybe a parent's listening and they're like, hey, I saw this or I heard this, but this behavior consultant does this. Maybe we could try that. So yeah.
That kind of was what I was thinking about when I was talking about apps because IBA had a CEU from one of our BCs she's very technology savvy. Like she knows all the apps and she works on
Really.
website stuff for us. And so she did a CEU on different apps to make, what you do more efficient and things like that. And I don't know anything about it, so I cannot share that. However, those things are happening, those CEUs are happening.
Yeah.
So
Well, she'd be a good person to bring on too.
yes, we could. We
Even
could get
kind of
her.
like, so I know with my behavior consultants, I really do encourage them. When I was the president of that association, I had a couple came on and do CEUs. It's a good opportunity. I mean, you don't get paid for those things. But I'm trying to do some more public speaking. I have some things coming up this summer, but it's a good start for that. So even like coming on, I know we've had, I don't know, it's been 5 days, our video's been up. We've had like 150 views or something like that.
Nice. That's good.
I could be exaggerating. I'm not sure. I haven't checked in a couple of days.
Okay.
And some likes too. But I mean, it would give them also an opportunity to kind of share because we are all professionals. And even though, SBS is a company, Outward Bound is a company, there's all these other companies, like just encourage these people that you are professionals, like get out there and share yourself, share your skills, share your knowledge. But
Mhm.
also, these people need places to do that because there are a lot of people or organizations that get very threatened by that or think that they know everything. And we should constantly be learning from each other.
It's good to refocus and think that what we do is for people that need help, right? I mean,
We're here.
families need help, people need help. So, working together is better than not working together or sharing information to make things better. But you're right. I mean, I get it. Like one of the things we have is that it's competitive. I don't think there needs to be, like, I feel like there's plenty of people out there on the waiver. There's,
I just
plenty
never
of,
heard. I'm sorry. I
go
just never
ahead.
heard anybody like we don't have enough clients. I never heard any
Yeah.
behavior company owner manager ever once say, "Oh, we don't have any clients. Oh, we don't have any referrals."
You have to try to figure out to be in both worlds a little bit, right? Where you've got one foot in that, okay, look, we need to do everything we can to help the people we serve. And then your other foot really is in the fact that, like, okay, I'm a business and I want to take care of
Mhm.
my business. So how do I do that also? And so you kind of have to like straddle that line, um, and just try to do the best you can with it.
That's true. I
Yeah.
feel like that is your answer for everything, damn it.
Sometimes we're
I know,
good at it, sometimes we're not, right? But like
that's
we
true.
try that every day we try.
That is true. That is true. This is good. This is good because we didn't even have this planned, but we did plan to talk a little bit about contacting your legislator. Oh, nice.
So this is just a template. So this is if you want to write. Like not everyone is super comfortable with calling legislators, right? And so this letter is something that I literally just grabbed online.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you can just type in, you know what, I want to write my legislator. Can I just have a sample letter for writing my legislator? And it'll bring you up dozens, if not more. And so obviously it's just a Word document that you
Oh, yeah. Let's
can
see.
download it and then you can edit it to include the information you want it to include, about whatever topic you want to talk about. So you can do that, print it, mail it, or maybe you just save it and email it if that's possible. Um, so I thought that was a really good one because I know that like for sure I'm not comfortable writing. I'm better at just doing a call. And I feel like this is important because I think legislators need to hear the voices of people that feel like their waiver matters. The waiver is important to them, and the services are important to them, and what services are important to you. Um, because there could potentially be big changes coming down the road.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of bills and things. So I get on a couple legislative groups that send updates during this legislative session, advocacy groups, I'm sorry. So one of them, and I'm going to put the links in here. These are just a couple I recommend that people that are interested in like mental health and disability field. This one I like. It's Indiana Behavior Health. They have it's the Mental Health of America, the Indiana chapter,
Hmm.
but they have this legislative update that they give you, and they'll give you whatever bills are being talked about. So this brings you to their voter policy center, and they actually have pre-done letters in here, like what you have, but they
Oh,
have it on here. So this one is about increasing Indiana's alcohol tax to use the money for the 988 crisis services. So that was launched last year. I don't know if you, I think we had like the 211 and then they moved it over to like 988, but now they're, I don't think that there's enough funding or they're wanting to use like
oh.
alcohol tax to help increase funding for that. But there's a lot of stuff here that really applies to the folks that we work with. But here on the right hand side, my right hand side, it actually has like a pre-written thing. So it's got the subject already
Oh, you can,
here.
oh, that's nice. You can just put your info and it'll automatically put it together.
Yeah, and send it. And it's got like a pre-done message. It just says, we urge you to increase Indiana's alcohol tax. And it just kind of talks a little bit more there. But a lot of places I'll see like they'll send you kind of similar to that with suggestions or fill in. And this is even good because you could just go to the website here and do it. You can add a little message here and then your information. It will even, I guess, I'm assuming once you put that in, it's going to find the person, whoever your legislator is, and send that to
That's nice.
them. So that's one. That's the Mental Health of America. Okay, so here's the ARC. I mentioned the ARC website last time because they have a lot of
I
the events.
love their website. Their website is so informative.
Well, I mean, this is just the leader, for people with disabilities. And then Kim Dobson, who is the CEO, I mean, this is her life. I mean, this is what she does. I'm sure she probably doesn't even sleep during the legislative session. But here they have a public policy advocacy page. Oh, I guess I'm already on it, where they talk about different things. Oh, here it is. They have a newsletter at the bottom. I really encourage families to sign up for their newsletter.
Yes.
They will send you things. They send all of these types of organizations. They do like an advocacy guide and they do an agenda and their priorities for the year. I'm not going to go over theirs, but you can find it here. They also have where you can find your elected official. It takes you straight to the state house.
Oh, you just got it. That was what I was going to share. So
Oh, well,
you've
there
got
you go.
everything. Yep.
Now we don't have to figure out how to get get your screen back on there. But yeah, so you can pick, like I'm down here in Clark County. I can uh, click on that. It tells me my Senate district. Oh, this is the Senate. Okay, so the Senate, and then here's the House map. Let's see down here. Up 72, that's my neighbor. Where's six? Anyway, down there. And then this has at the federal level, Congress here. So I'm in the Congressional District 9. And you're what, up here? Are you in
I'm
probably,
in Hamilton County, so
I bet that's, I don't know if that's 5
it's
or,
probably District 5, I think
yeah.
so.
DDARS has um, a newsletter as well, or they'll send like their updates whenever things are changing, like
Hmm.
FSSA and stuff. I encourage people to get on that too. So,
Yes.
all right. So with ARC, they have a lot of all of that on here. They have publications, fact sheets, an action center. This is where people really need to go, the ARC of Indiana Action Center. I've watched Kim Dodson a couple of times on some different podcasts and meetings the last several weeks, and she's really been talking a lot about sharing your story. That
Hmm.
people, and this is not just for families and staff, like this is for professionals like us. This is for if you're a neighbor or you're a church member or you have a family or a friend, a friend that has a disability or a teacher, but especially want to ask people in our field working with the Medicaid waiver program, behavior consultants, really, share your stories, share how the positive things that have happened with the supports that you provide and how they could be better, how maybe having more money or making sure that we are assuring that families have what they need, getting people off the wait list, make your voice heard. So you can do that, and here's where you get on their advocacy list as well.
Nice.
There you go. And one more that I want to show you guys. So this is Mad Voters. It is a say non-political. It exists to educate voters and advocate for certain issues. And it's neither Republican nor Democrat, but I will tell you, it does swing a little bit left because of many of the issues that they're talking about. But they have spoken out a lot about Medicaid, ABA. They're very helpful. And one of the parents that I know from my community, she helped me when I ran for office last year, really got hooked up with these guys. And I asked her if she could come on and talk, and she wasn't quite comfortable because she's kind of new with them, but she had recommended some other people. I was so excited to see her get involved. And a lot of it is because of Medicaid and things like that. So anyway, on here, they just have information about voting resources, candidates. They're just so great with educating people. They track the bills. They give you just different information on issues, bill tracker, regional, ways that you can get involved. They are all over the state of Indiana.
Nice.
They will come out. They've done a lot of things with like advocating for eliminating like the period tax, advocating for, Medicaid, also advocating for the changes that were being made, ABA, making sure that the government was trying to do everything as possible to make sure that we had services and supports for people. So I highly recommend them, and hopefully we will get somebody to come on down the road.
Nice.
I really think that's kind of all that I had to share today, which is
Yeah, same. Same. You actually covered way more. But then you also included what I was going to share. So I think we covered it. That's pretty good. I love the MAD voters. It actually stands for Mutually Assured Democracy.
oh, I didn't even
It's a
read.
great.
It's right there in front of me. Yeah, they're great. I'm trying. Hi, thanks for watching our show. We are really excited that you joined us. This is a great project. I'm so happy to be doing this and cannot wait for all the content that we're going to be pushing out to you guys. And we would love to have you be a part of that. So please make sure that you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And soon we'll have a website and some social medias out there so you can stay in tune with us. And we want your ideas for stories, all the great things that are going on in the disability community throughout Indiana, and even the things that are not going on right, things that we need to challenge, things that we need to be talking about. So if you have any questions or you have any ideas, and if you have any advice on puppy training for me and Jennifer, please email me at jendavid0705@gmail.com. That's JENNDAVID0705@gmail.com. Excuse me. Thanks. Have a great day.